Hey guys, so we're back. Today we're going to be talking about schedules in Foglight. I have received some user feedback. I'm only on day 2 here. I've been told I'm covering too much per session and maybe going a little too quick per session. So I'm going to go ahead and try and scale it back just a little. So we're just going to talk about schedules today. Now we briefly talked about schedules in the registry variables section. Basically, depending on the time of day, variables can change their value. How do you specify that schedule though? It's as easy, if you can use Outlook, it's as easy as that. The normal rules of anything you schedule on a computer apply. We're going to go through that really quick. I'm going to try and create a scenario this time as opposed to more of a demo. Now we haven't really talked about blackouts too much, and that's fine. Let me just fire up Zoom it real quick so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Install files, Zoom it, there it is. So we go ahead and we're going to set a blackout. Now this blackout should be pretty common sense to you. It just means it's something we're not going to collect alarms from something. In this case, we're going to create a one-time blackout, suspend alarms from a host called Foglight. And we have a bunch of stock suspensions, 1 hour, 4 hour, custom duration. You can imagine we'll just stop getting alarms for 1 hour, 4 hours, or blackout indefinitely. I don't see a reason to use this, but you might have a reason. Anyhow, one other thing we could do, and then we're just going to hit cancel. I'm going to create a scheduled blackout. Here's the scenario. Every Friday night, you reboot all your Windows domain controllers. They receive all their patches that day, Friday nights. So you don't want a notification for that. So we're going to get rid of the alarms. We're going to click suspend alarms. Go next. Pick our host. In this case, we could have searched for all of our domain controllers. We could have even grouped all of our domain controllers into something called a service, but we'll talk about that later. We'll hit next. And let's just go ahead and pick a scheduled task. So monthly off hours. So this might be when we, I'm sorry, yeah, did I say scheduled task? I mean a blackout schedule, thinking Windows. Anyhow, pick monthly off hours, click next, explain your reason for the blackout, then you hit finish. And as you can imagine, when that schedule comes up, you won't get alarms. Let's create a new schedule though, because this schedule may not meet our needs. Let's go ahead and hit the new schedule button. You can see we have options for weekly, periodically, monthly by date, yearly even. I probably don't see that ever happening, but we'll just say daily. Occurs every 4 days. 4 days. I'm just picking some random stuff here. When does this take effect, and when will it expire? I really, really recommend you pick an expiration date. I just can't stress that enough, because when you put an expiration date, you'll have to be scared of what happened 6 months later. You got data smog, right? You're going to forget about all this stuff. When you account for data smog, you plan for things to go away on their own. I remember an old job I used to have. We used to have self-expiring SLA documents. They would have a little macro inside the Word document. They would check the date when you opened it on. It would say, hey, this document hasn't been ratified by the business for 1 year. This document should be considered invalid and needs to be renegotiated, and then it would just kind of auto want to launch an SNMP and email our SLA manager. Anyhow, it was a pretty cool feature. We're going to click next, and let me specify the effective duration of the day. Lasts for ends at. So we're going to say whatever, lasts for 1 hour and 1 minute. Doesn't really matter. Give the schedule a name. I'm going to call this my fake schedule. Put some garbage in there, and it appears. This isn't the only place you could make schedules. Matter of fact, it's not even the preferred place to make schedules. So I'm going to take you back up to administration on the breadcrumb trail. And we're just going to go over to schedules, which is, there it is, right here. Give that guy a click, and here we can find our schedules in here. We can look at what a schedule means just by clicking on it, scrolling over to the right, and viewing the schedule. We can go over here and see the impacted areas by color. Welcome to play with that, not too complicated. We can go back. Go back in the schedules, I mean. And from here we can just scroll through and see the ones we created, and here we go. Add schedule button. It's the same kind of situation where we're going to go test2, give it a description, why we use it. I would always recommend a ticket number, however your company tracks tickets. How it's going to start, everything like that. So we're going to say daily. Now, one piece of advice I'm going to give you: start time and duration. I don't recommend whole numbers. People love to just put whole numbers, 1 hour. Start time will of course be 5 a.m. This is not a really good thing. If you ever set up cron inside Linux or anything like that, or Windows scheduled tasks, you know what I'm talking about here in terms of putting just a kind of a random digit at the end. 8, 7, 5. Put the last digit of your birthday or something like that in here. Consistently do that, and that way your coworkers put something else. What ends up happening is you create a scheduled task, or cron job, or a blackout schedule in Foglight, and 2 years from now, when the system really gets utilized and built out, you all have your scheduled tasks in your thing, and we can actually bind reports to these tasks. So if you want to auto send like database reports or performance reports to your manager, you can totally do that with a scheduled task. Now if you put all those at 5 a.m. because everybody decided 5 a.m. was the best time, well, I don't care what you're working with, you're going to kind of overwhelm the machine. But by setting a few minute delay, you can actually offload that work from the machine. Anyhow, so I'm just going to go ahead and let's see. I think we have everything we need. We're going to hit OK. The schedule will never occur. Okay, whatever. Who cares? You see the point. We've created our schedule. Schedule's added. We can go back and edit it, change whatever we need to. One of the things that's a little confusing, at least I found it a little confusing, you don't have to create multiple schedules. You don't have to create a schedule for every second Friday, but except for fourth Fridays, which are dedicated to something else. You can just add scheduled items and work it out that way. So you could have multiple time periods in one schedule. You don't have to have multiple schedules created. So I think I've pretty much covered schedules from what you need to know. We've started the start time, the end time, reoccurrence patterns. We already know that it can modify registry variables. We know that it can black out hosts. We're going to talk about even more about that later in the blackout section. I kind of briefly touched in that we could launch our reports using schedules by clicking reports down here. We're going to do a whole section on reports. And we can even have it create drive metrics, which we'll talk about another time. So I think that's all you need to know. Play around with that and let me know if you have any questions.